This is such a big thing, right?
Thank you.
Oh, come on, Jim. Good morning, Colin.
Morning.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Fantastic. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for-
I wanted to be kind of businesslike.
Can I see the other good?
Hello and welcome to Qatar's first sports podcast, In the Game. I'm your host, Steve Mackey, and we can't wait to introduce you to everything that is sports here in Qatar and afar. We're going to be bringing you personalities, company owners, institutions, individuals that are making a real difference. So, with us, enjoy the journey.
It's fun, man. Sports is fun.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Please send us your feedback on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And don't forget to review us on your favourite podcast app. Hello and welcome to In the Game, Qatar's first sports podcast. Today we have Stephanie Innes on the show.
Hello.
Thanks very much for coming in today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And what do you think to our podcast room?
I love it. I love it. Very cozy.
Yeah?
Nice.
Honestly, I'm so pleased. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today, but I want to just get over to people. The sun is shining here.
Yes.
You come from Aberdeen.
Indeed. Originally, yeah.
Sun doesn't shine very much there.
No, 10 degrees is kind of men start taking their shirts off, which is a bit odd. So, yeah.
I've been there a couple of times, and it's all slate. Slate.
Granite. Yeah. Granite. Yeah.
It is a beautiful place, but it's a long way up.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Anybody knows it's right. So if you go to Edinburgh, which I did, and I thought to myself, I've got to go to Elgin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was getting nosebleeds when I was going so far up. I got to Aberdeen after about 3 hours, and then I had to go a bit further.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to find out all about you. Tell us all about your story. How are you finding yourself in Qatar today?
Well, I grew up in Aberdeenshire and then I went to school in the Middle East, and my dad's in the oil industry. So like a lot of people from Aberdeen they're either farmers or fishermen or oil industry people. So I went to the British School Muscat in Oman, and then really liked the Middle East, but went back home to do the university thing, start your career off, etc. and qualified as a teacher, and then didn't like that very much, or rather I couldn't see myself doing that for 40 years. So I left that behind and retrained as a divorce lawyer, and that was basically taking money from people whilst they were crying, so I didn't like that much either. So I was still am a part-time, an army reservist in the intelligence corps. So that was kind of how I first got into fitness, and then I was training for a big expedition for that, trying to gain a place on the first all-female team to ski across Antarctica, but didn't make the final cut for various reasons, and this podcast isn't long enough for that, and most of my friends know the story anyway. So and then was working for a domestic violence charity, giving support to women who'd been victims of domestic abuse. I did that for a year whilst training with the military, and then once that expedition wasn't going to happen for me, I realised I needed to go back into a career of sorts, and went back to teaching. And I was sitting in the Arctic Circle on a Norwegian army base, and realised I had been eliminated from the selection process. And I thought, okay, I'll apply for a job, and I went on to the Times Educational Supplement, and there was 2 jobs, one in Kazakhstan and one in Qatar. So I thought, Qatar seems kind of more familiar territory to me. So I applied and got the job, and then came out a few months later.
So I've been in the Arctic conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it like, the cold, to example, being here in Qatar?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're pretty spoiled here, aren't we? I came here, I'm ashamed to say, in a jacket today, and it's still 20-something degrees, but you quickly get used to it. And equally, when I go home, I do reacclimatise pretty quickly. But yeah, certainly enjoy extreme environments, I think would be fair to say.
And with you being in Qatar, and you're a school teacher, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What was it that you just love fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come from a particularly fit family. I mean, we used to run to school, and we never left the front door with enough time to walk to school, so we had to run the mile to school, and then we'd run home for our lunch and then run back. So actually, probably I have been running since a young age, but my family wasn't particularly outdoorsy or anything. And then university, through the Army Officer Training Corps, I picked up kind of a bit more there were more opportunities for fitness, I would say. And then also, had a bit of a good time at university. I wasn't very disciplined, let's say. And then once this whole Expedition Ice Maiden opportunity came up for Antarctica, that's when I really got into fitness. And then when I was eliminated from that was 4 years ago. It was December 2016. That's when I became a runner.
There's going to be a few people out there right now looking up and saying, yeah, I've seen this lady. Where have they seen you? So what you've been an organiser of quite a few things.
Well, an organiser of one event principally, which was the first all-female crossing of Qatar on foot, which was the ladies 90k, Team Q90k. That happened last week, 2 years ago, so 2019. Yeah, and that was a good thing. I mean, it was more of a project than an event. It wasn't a race. It was about everyone getting there, everyone supporting each other to get there. And we had about a dozen nationalities, which I think really reflected that sort of multicultural pot that we've got going on here in Qatar. And everyone achieved their furthest ever distance that day, which I think was really good, and almost everyone completed the whole 90 kilometres as well. And
incredibly, this is now gone from such a small little event to something quite large.
Well, I mean, this is in terms of next weekend, we embark on a 500 kilometre event as a team of women, and that's 4 of us who took part in that 90k ladies event. So a lot of them have left the country, and that's not because of the 90k, but just that high turnover in Doha, of people. But 4 of them are still here and regular ultra runners, and because I'd worked with them on the 90k, I knew they'd be. I think people think you turn up and you run 500 kilometres, but there's so much more that goes on to it, behind the scenes. And they've helped with sponsorship and media engagement and getting the word out into schools, which is really important for us. So 2 of us are teachers and 1 of us is a psychologist in an educational setting. So for us, it's all about getting the kids into sport. Obviously, children can't really be ultra runners at that age. They're still growing. It's not particularly healthy. Also, the jury's out on that, but broadly speaking, I think people say it's too far. But they've not moved in a year. A lot of these kids. PE's been cancelled in school. Contact sports have been cancelled for obvious reasons. So there's a lot of parents of the children I teach are genuinely worried that they've kind of forgotten what to do. And we've even seen their fine motor skills decline in school. I mean, they can't cut out as well as they used to. They're just that really basic things. Yeah, holding pencils and all that kind of thing with very young children. Yeah. So obviously you see that then filter into sport, and PE's just about picking up again now, and they can't catch a ball and they could a year ago, things like that. So it's quite worrying, really.
What does sport mean for you? What does
for me, I mean, obviously on the day there's the kind of physical challenge and the sense of achievement when you finish a race, or you get a personal best, or you beat someone you've been trying to beat for a long time, or in a friendly way, but still it's competitive nonetheless. And all those things are good. A new personal furthest is always a sense of achievement, brings a sense of achievement for me. But really it's about the community, particularly in this sort of expat environment, of everyone around. The support we had on a recent 200 kilometre attempt from north to south was huge. I mean, you just need to kind of say the word and people form a sort of rota of support, and they'll come out in the middle of the night with food or drink or massage guns or whatever you need, whatever you want, without even asking most of the time. So
let me go. You were talking about success, and you had success where you beat your record in the 90 kilometre. What was that time that you did?
9:39 was my time in the last.
And how much did you take off?
That was an hour off the previous year and about 4 hours or 5 hours off my first attempt, which was 4 years ago.
No, how does that kind of does it stick in when you first find it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this year I wanted sub 10 hours was my target, and beat that by 20 odd minutes, but that was with the help of a coach, Coach Caroline at Wild Horizon Running, cheeky plug. She was brilliant, very much kind of trusts you to tell her how you're feeling and what you're doing and all of that. Obviously experience too. I mean, when you've been running 4 years, you're still new, really. I mean, obviously I'm not the beginner I was 3 years ago, but I'm still learning all the time. But it's just increasing the mileage in a safe kind of way. and also getting better at the logistics of a race. I mean, I think ultra running, a lot of it's not running. It's eating on the move without being sick. It's drinking at the right times. It's carrying the right amount of kit. It's knowing when you need to walk. They always say walk before, whilst you can still run. I think that's something I've learned.
Yeah.
I used to run and run and run until I couldn't run anymore, and then you couldn't start running again.
Yeah.
So when our friend Islam Salam and Hesham and Hamza, when they did the first 90k, they organised it back in December 2017, must have been. It was basically planned on a piece of paper that size, and Islam was the support vehicle. He was the support team. We didn't pay any money to enter. It wasn't official. We were flying under the radar. We were stopped by the police on the highway. You know, it was all very kind of, what would you say, like done on a shoestring.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and also we got a bit lost, and because we were trying to avoid the police, we weren't using the main road, and then roadworks blocked us, so it ended up being longer than 90k. You know, all of these things added to what was far from an impressive time.
Yeah.
But I loved that one probably the most. And as event organisers, they've blossomed too, because like you said earlier, their event, which they started, has now had a spin-off of a ladies only, and also it's just grown and become so much more professional, with sponsorship and, you know, police convoys and all sorts. So yeah, they've really grown as their runners have grown, so that's nice.
No, it's nice. And the one thing that I say to all of it, and we've had Hisham Mubarak on there, which is just incredible.
He's something else.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He's just, and then we've Nazruddin. Nazruddin. We had him on. That was fantastic too. But it's kind of, I keep on asking, and I'm going to keep on asking, is what goes through your mind with all that time when you're feeling aches and pains all over your body?
Well, I mean, I suppose people think, whoa, like 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, however long, that's a long time, but you break it down into shorter sections. I think that's really key, and people's ability to wrap their head around these shorter sections is critical. And then so every 5k I'm giving myself a pat on the back, and every 10k, you know, it's very much talking to myself a lot of the time. I don't like too many people being around. And then food station to food station, you know, I'm thinking of my next moment of eating all the time, and then every sort of few minutes I try to eat, you know, 300 calories an hour typically, so that's actually quite a big job. I mean, you're never really bored. And then I'm also doing like a complete head to toe check all the time, so I'm thinking, am I burning in the sun? Do I need ice at the next stop? Have I had a drink? Do I need to put lip balm on? It's that level of detail. Am I chafing? Can I put some extra stuff on without anyone thinking I'm really weird? Do I need to, where's my next bush for my next little pee stop? You know, so you're always looking ahead. So actually the time, there's moments when you're thinking, oh, you know, it's another hour until the next station. That can be difficult. Yeah. But most of the time it's not that boring actually. And I'm not really someone that runs with music at all. So on the 90k I had nothing at all.
With the food side, and I've had this conversation before with somebody, and I find it really fascinating because you're looking forward to those food stops. Yeah. Nazruddin, he would say that he was looking forward to what type of thing he was going to get next, and it was always different. Yeah. Is that with you, or do you get surprised, or you?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like you think. So I like to bring quite a lot of my own food. So obviously, again, the guys who organise the 90k have been asking for feedback, and they respond to it really well. So I'd say that most people are very happy most of the time with what's offered, because it's all our feedback anyway. But sometimes your body just goes through moments of you really want savoury or you really want sweet, and then that station happens to be predominantly, you know, the opposite of what you want. So, you know, but I've eaten pizzas on the move. I've eaten all sorts on the go. You know, it's just that's why I do this, to be honest, is the cake and the pizza.
You don't look like you.
No, but like, honestly, anyone will tell you, like, the food is a big part of the planning for me. Yeah.
But I think that you're going to also say that when we talk about the friends that you've got, and especially Islam is just such a special guy, and he doesn't do it for anything else except that he's a special guy. Yeah. That's so important. When I see all your pictures, and I saw you going over the line, and I saw you all the pictures, because it's all on his Facebook and everything. that must be a huge feeling to know that you've got that such a big family.
Yeah, it is. And I think when we all live here, you know, especially those of us who don't have, you know, husband, kids, whatever here, this is your family, really. People you could call at almost any time of the day or night and they'd help you out, you know, and he's offered to help. You know, he did so much to help the ladies 90K.
Yeah.
And you know, with other events that go on around town, there's teams of volunteers help for no reason other than they appreciate volunteers when they're racing. So when they're not racing, they like to give back and volunteer. You know, and I really like it.
Yeah. And let's go back into some of your history.
Okay.
I like what you, because I'm watching the series Suits.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So when you say
it's nothing like Suits, and I'm not Meghan Markle, clearly.
I'm watching this program at the moment,
and
I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating. But what I find fascinating is what you said. You said it wasn't something that I enjoyed. It was dealing in that area that was just negative, right? And you got out of it. With your job now, it's like, how does your sports help you in your teaching and with the kids, and how different is it a bit now?
Well, some days I wish I could run away very far and very fast. No, they're good. I mean, I've just made the transition from secondary teaching to primary teaching, so that's been a massive learning curve for me. But I think it's your sort of job to, and we spoke before we came on the show about that kind of slightly cheesy word, inspire, but I think it is a responsibility when you're standing in front of children, and you know, more so perhaps with the older ones, because I used to say a lot of them here in particular are under pressure to be doctor, lawyer, pilot, whatever, all of the classically prestigious jobs, for want of a better word. And I used to say to them, look, I did that. I fought at every stage to get through this highly competitive, you know, rounds and rounds of selection over years and years, essentially endless exams, whatever, and it just wasn't for me, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I've gone back to teaching and I'm so much happier. I'm not someone that's necessarily going to be in teaching for the next 30 years. I could probably say that quite confidently today, but for now, in the next several years, it's what I want to do.
Is your sports give you the patience to be able to deal with all that more?
Yeah, I think so. And also you can process a lot during your long run. So typically, I mean, not at the moment because I'm between two big events, I've been doing very little for many weeks, which is good, but normally I think you go over what's happened in the day on the treadmill, you analyse how you could maybe have handled the situation better or whatever. And I mean, teaching's constant interaction. I mean, literally every second there's someone miss, you know, and I think running helps you get away from that. I wouldn't want to go home and then add more kind of by watching TV or whatever, you know. I need to sort of break away from everything, and it helps me a lot. But yeah, I think it also gives you the energy. I mean, a very long run can tire you out, but I think if you're physically constantly active, and gives you a bit more energy to deal with the day, which young people certainly take it from you.
It's kind of, and they must be seeing you they'll be seeing you, because you're going to be doing quite a lot of things. So you had a big thing that you tried, a Guinness Book of Records.
Yes.
And this is another thing that I wanted to talk to you about. It wasn't successful this time.
It was not, no.
So there was a lot of negatives, and now you're going to be picking yourself back up and trialing it again? I'm
not sure. I know that my running partner on that event, he's going to try it again, but I've been sworn to secrecy as to his next attempt date. But for me, with the 500 kilometre event next weekend, and then the weekend after that, it's the Doha Marathon, the Ayuro Marathon.
Okay. Taking part?
Yeah, well, I've got a ticket. That doesn't mean if I can walk, I will go. But who knows how my body will cope with 500 kilometres? I don't know. So it might be a case of walking it. I'm trying to collect 100 marathons to join the 100 Marathon Club.
Okay.
Which again, 4 years ago, I didn't even know that existed. I thought people did one marathon in their lifetime and then hung up their racing shoes, you know, but then you meet all these weirdos who do multiple hundreds of marathons, you know. So I was in Italy sort of 18 months ago, my last kind of trip away from Doha, really. And I met sort of people in their 60s and 70s. There was cake after every marathon each day, and it was to celebrate someone that hit their 600th marathon or their 700th marathon. And I thought, whoa, like this 100 that I've got in my head is absolutely nothing. But
you, to me, are a little bit crazy too, because you've tried to do those marathons on a daily thing.
Yeah, back to back. Yeah. It was just a challenge, you know, and also to get to this 100 more quickly, because
Okay.
100 could otherwise, if you do 2 or 3 a year, you're going to be, there for a long time. Might die before I get finished, so I just thought I'll cram in a few more. And it was supposed to be 10 in 10 days, and I had to withdraw after the 6th one, just through injury and, again, big lessons. I'd gone off way too fast on day 1 and thought that was really comfortable. And then day 2, I was like, that wasn't so comfortable.
Yeah.
And then day 3, it was like, just left and kind of had a little cry in the evening and thought, how am I going to do another 7? And then again, right call. I think you do need to ultimately listen to your body. But I'd hired an electric bike, which was another first, and I just buzzed up and down supporting other people, and they sold out the 10 in 10. And they had so many tips for me, and the plan was to go back this summer, just gone, and have another crack at it. Obviously, it was all cancelled because of COVID. So summer 2021, hopefully, maybe. We'll see.
Are you okay?
The thing is, once you start getting into these circles, almost all my friends here are sort of ardent cyclists or triathletes or runners. So then you just start to think that becomes your normal. And everyone I know has run faster than me or further than me or is as good but in 2 sports, or so you never really think of yourself as anything other than run of the mill, really.
Okay, so somebody's thinking about that. Well, they haven't even thought about it. They're coming to Qatar. They're single. They're you don't have to be single, but I see the things that you're all doing.
Yeah.
And it's like going to the rock climbing in the
desert.
I see all these different things. What would you say to somebody that was? I know the answers, me, because I'd listened to Islam. But for yours, if it was from a lady's perspective, what would you say to a lady that was starting that wanted to get involved in this, and where should she go, and what should she be looking for?
Well, I've actually given this advice for real just a few weeks ago. A friend of a friend moved out here, and she wants to get into different things, and I said, if you join Doha Bay Running Club, that is a ready-made family. Other people would say join the Tri Club. There's 4, 5, 6 sessions and events a week, some tailored specifically for beginners, others long run but slow pace, others kind of more of a power walk pace and a social conversational run. And then there's track sessions for speed on a Tuesday, and there's a hill session on a Wednesday, and it's all run by volunteers. I arrived in Qatar one day, and the next day I went to a track session, and I knew that if I didn't bite the bullet within my first week of living here, then I probably would start to put up barriers and think, oh no, I'll go next week, and just put it off. So I was still kind of just fresh off the plane really, and showed up and have never looked back.
Yeah. Is Mr. Wright going to have to be a sportsman?
He needs a pulse, and that's about where we're at now. Know anyone?
I say to Islam on a regular basis, I'm saying to you now, Islam, it's like he's a fitness trainer. He's so nice. Yeah, why hasn't he got people queuing at his door?
Well, we work on that from time to time.
Good on you. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad.
He has many romantic PAs, but we never seem to quite pull it off for him.
He's just, I keep on saying to him, I just do see it, because he's such a lovely person.
Yeah.
And he does give so much. It's untrue. And I'm sorry for asking you that question.
That's all right.
So what's your plans now? What are those things that you see? I know that you've got a busy schedule these next few months.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
It's just that I think because of the weather here, it's quite a tight weather window.
Yeah.
But we're blessed because we do, have a winter sort of racing schedule here. And normally we'd be flying to the Muscat Marathon. There's Beirut. There's Istanbul. There's all of these other ones that all kind of between October to end of February, March, maybe at a push. Those are the ones that people want to go to. But at the moment, obviously, we're restricted to here largely. But then, especially if you're a teacher, you've got 6, 7, 8 weeks off in the summer, and then you then go to Europe for their good weather and do their races. So it's all COVID dependent. For me, the thing I'm losing sleep over at the moment is this 500 kilometer attempt next week. So we set off a week on Friday.
I've never had something. I was in the army for quite so many years, and I never had anything like that. And even if we're going to go into a log race or some type of physical activity, stretcher race, you were going to go through some pain.
Yes.
And it's like it was that the night before, or even if you had a big tough session that you were going to get beasted. you couldn't sleep at night, but you're going out and knowing that you're going to do 500 kilometers.
Yeah, and it's the unknown. You know, I think people speak about finding your limits, and after doing the 90k the first time, in subsequent years, you can't ever be cocky about it, because anything could go wrong on a race of that length. But there is a bit of confidence in you. Well, I've done it before, so I'm more experienced now, so I'll probably do it again, is how I kind of enter it. But you never know. But with 500, not one of us on the team has done 500. I mean, who does, really? Unless you're at a kind of... Obviously, it's not 500 continuously, in the sense that we'll stop and sleep in tents at night, but yeah.
That bond between your team is going to be unbreakable after this. I
think so. I mean, we're pretty close already, really. I mean, all of those ladies, like I say, were together on the ladies 90k. We did a lot, not just running wise for that, but logistically and media and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Roz recently, she broke the female record for fastest to cross east to west, 9 hours 7. So she's just really come into her own in this last year, really picked up her running. Heather tends to prefer trail, and she does sort of multiple back-to-back days, mainly in South Africa. She travels there quite a lot. Wow. So she's very good on hills and sort of uneven terrain, and she's a great night navigator. And then Izzy's predominantly a cyclist, but you know, crazy mileage, one of the highest yearly mileages in the Tri Club, just insane. Regularly sort of podiums on races there, but also a strong runner, and completely supported me around the recent 50-kilometre Thebe race on Boxing Day, which was a week after the 90, and I shouldn't have entered that. I was injured, but you know, you've bought the place, so you kind of think, you know, and it's Boxing Day, it's something different to do on a Christmas time. So I showed up, and she stuck with me the whole way around, my whinging and my crying, you know. So it was actually a good test of our friendship. If she could deal with me in such a bad mood for 5 hours, you know, hopefully we'll manage 5 days. It's a bit of a leap, but
can you make me one promise? Can you make sure that when you finish the marathon, because I think you will, you've got the ticket, as you said. Okay. Fingers crossed. Come back and tell us.
Okay.
Come back and tell us those. If there was tears, if there was anger, if there was fallouts, tell us everything.
Okay.
Maybe bring some of your other teammates along.
I was going to say, yes, they've got a right to reply.
I want one more thing from you. What is that quote? What is that thing in your head that keeps you going? You know, sometimes it's a song, sometimes. Do you have something that when you think about it really makes you push harder?
Well, sometimes when it's painful or whatever, I think we're really lucky to have legs. You know, there's a lot of people don't and can't, or even if they do, they work a job where they've got 1 day off a week and don't have the money for a pair of trainers, you know. So I always think it's self-inflicted pain. You can't stop at any moment. No one's going to think any less of you, or if they do, they're not worth knowing anyway. So you know, there's that that kind of keeps me going. It's all about this need to kind of prove yourself, I think, sometimes. But I think the most useful little kind of 3-word, what would you say, not even a quote, I don't know, it's only 3 words, but it's relentless forward progress. And I think as long as you're constantly moving forward and chipping away at the time and chipping away at the distance, you'll get there.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Stephanie, it was an absolute pleasure, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. It was brilliant. I wish you all the success in the future. I know that everybody that's listening is going to wish you the same. Okay. Before I finish, I'd just like to say thank you very, very much for incubate.qa. They hosted me this week, and they are fantastic. They're a startup group that's looking after startups and trying to incubate businesses that are just starting out. So students, anybody that's got an idea, they're willing to listen and they're willing to help you. And I thoroughly enjoyed my experience with them this week. So thank you so much indeed. Again, thank you very much. And don't forget to like us or comment for us in our app places and everything, you know.
And if you could follow us on Instagram too, the Desert Roses, Desert Roses 2021, and thanks to our sponsors, we've been very lucky as well. We've got the International Physiotherapy Centre that are going to come out and give us a massage on the road.
So is that Claire? Do you know Claire?
I don't know who will be coming actually. I don't know who exactly will be coming.
So you could be lucky because it could be kind of
Oh, who knows? It could be that moment. Our eyes met over a massage table.
Exactly.
She smelled terrible and she was covered in dust. But hey, some guys are into that, right?
Everybody.
We've also got LuluLemon. I should say LuluLemon gave us clothing, which was very nice. And Coffee District are doing all the logistics and the food. So that's great.
That's just brilliant news. All of you, thank you very much for supporting individuals like Stephanie and all her groups, Desert Rose. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for everybody. Thank you for listening, and see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Please send us your feedback on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. And don't forget to review us on your favourite podcast app.